If you were to look at the world we live in 2022 and travel back in time to 1950, I'm sure the world you'd see is night and day. And this question has been on my mind for a long time. Why don't men approach women anymore? If you go outside nowadays, you don't see it happening as much as it did in the 1950s, when you had no choice but to make a cold approach. I know many of you won't remember this, but there was a time when there was no cell phone, internet, or social media, and there was nothing like what we have today. You had to physically approach a woman to get her or go directly to her father, the church, and live nearby, as in other communities. It wasn't like now, when you could sit at home scratching your balls, sign up for a dating site, and meet women. No sir, it took a lot of effort to get a woman back then, and women didn't have the same access to men all over the world that we do now. She could only choose from the guys in her community, or the one guy who was visiting her small town, and whom she met and then fell in love with. So things were simpler back then. So why are men no longer approaching women? One thing you must understand about men is that before making a decision, we must assess the risk involved and consider the consequences of that decision. Examine how men approach marriage. Most men weigh the risks and rewards of making that commitment, as well as what they stand to lose if the marriage ends in divorce. The same is true when approaching women. Women have made the process so dangerous and unrewarding that men have simply decided that the juice is no longer worth the squeeze. First and foremost, men were already afraid of rejection and humiliation from women. So for a man to risk being turned down, mocked, or labeled a creep and still approach means he believes the outcome is worthwhile. However, in a society where women regard the average men they don't want as predators, creeps, assaulters, and raptors, why would men want to approach a woman? If the average man approached the average woman respectfully to initiate a conversation, he would be humiliated more often than not. I've seen videos of men attempting to converse with women without being disrespectful or creepy, and the woman completely humiliates the man. The woman videotaped the interaction while spinning the narrative that he was a creep and shared it on social media for laughs and attention. And I'm sitting here thinking, why the hell would I want to approach a woman these days? So looking deeper, we can only conclude that modern women no longer respect the average man and men in general, because in terms of status, if a woman is notorious for disrespecting the average and below average men who approach her, do you think she would do the same to Jeff Bezos? No way. Jeff Bezos is a billionaire with power, authority, and status, and no woman would dare to talk down or humiliate a man who was clearly better than she could ever be. So as you can see, it all comes down to a man's status and perceived value based on how he looks, talks, and approaches the woman at the end of the day. As previously stated, a woman will treat different men differently depending on how she perceives that man, and if she does not see the man as better than her, she will treat him as garbage or less than, and vice versa. If she believes another man is superior to her, she will respect him and be more open to him. Consider the interaction between a woman and her boss versus the janitor, who would not be disrespected. If they were to approach her, I want you to understand that the modern woman no longer respects men, and I believe that most men have caught on to this and have decided to avoid talking to these women. Men have seen how women treat other men who look similar to them versus the high-value men, and men have decided to walk away completely. Men have realized that women's attitudes toward them are deteriorating, and they are no longer pursuing that. Let's take a look at whether modern women are even approachable to begin with. People will take one look at you and decide not to even approach you, let alone talk to you. And modern women today walk around in society looking like they have something stuck up their rear end. I know you've had an experience where you saw a woman you liked and how she made up her face to look like Lord Evil himself made you not want to go and talk to her. Modern women have lost the art of smiling and looking pleasant in public because almost all of them walk around with a resting dish face, which either scares or turns men off. Men will not approach a woman who looks like she doesn't want anyone talking to her, especially a man. As a result, men do not approach these types of women, and society regards telling a woman that she must smile as being mistaken and a woman hater. If a man is truthful about what he wants in society, society mocks that man. Why in the world would he take the risk of being mocked and labeled? As a result, men have decided to walk away and avoid approaching women. Consider it from this perspective. If you see a guy who appears to be angry all the time, as if he could explode and become violent at any moment, would you approach him and try to strike up a conversation? Most likely not. The same is true for women in both public and private settings. If a man sees a woman he likes and wants to talk to but she appears cold and closed off, he will assume she does not want to talk to anyone and will avoid approaching her. That is how important it is to smile and have an open body language. But modern women don't care and are unwilling to change. As a result, men will not approach, and that is the end of it. However, when men do not approach, They become irritated and complain that men are not approaching. So ladies, either give men signals that you want to be approached, or toughen up your face and men will avoid you like the plague. The choice is yours. Ladies, do whatever the hell you want. I couldn't care less. Finally, I believe men are no longer approaching women because they have decided that women in relationships aren't even worth it and have decided to stop dating in relationships. We have been told that we do not want scrubs. You're too short, you're not broke, and you're ugly. Men are sick and tired of hearing, "Don't talk to me if you don't have X, Y, and Z." So why would they want to approach and converse with women? Modern women are cheating on men more than ever before, abandoning relationships more frequently than ever before, and treating men worse and worse as time passes. So some men are simply finished. Some men have decided to stay and only treat Chad and Tyrone well. So I'll be going my own way and not having to deal with the poor treatment of modern women. So here we are today, with men and herds refusing to enter into relationships. Don't forget to hit the like button to help spread the word about this video. Thank you for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember that a red pill a day keeps bad poker hands away. So have a good rest of your day and cheers.